Well, you know what they say. Do you know? Do you know? They don't. Nobody ever tells me. This is the Sunday devotion. Do you know? Hey, what do they say? What do they say? What is up, and welcome back to the Sunday devotion. We are in our series called Waitlisted, where we are talking about waiting. It's awesome. Everybody does it. Nobody likes it. And specifically this week, we're talking about what do we do while we're waiting in the middle of a crisis or something just bad, not good. What happens when bad things happen? What does the waiting look or feel like in that moment? We're going to take a look at this time where Paul and Silas get thrown into jail. Essentially, the story breaks down that they are going to Macedonia. They're in Macedonia, as one does. They're preaching, teaching, traveling, they're missionary. This is their game. It makes sense that they're there. But then all of a sudden they run upon this person that's got an evil spirit among them. Paul tells the spirit to leave. It's a fortune-telling spirit, and he's just like, hey, did you see this coming? You get out of here. I have no idea if that's how it happened, but that would be really funny. Anyway, spirit is cast out by Paul, and then the people, like the slave owner, freaks out, just doesn't know what to do. So Paul and Silas are arrested. They're thrown into jail, and when they get into jail, they worship. Did not expect that, quite honestly. They're in jail, they're worshiping, and then God recognizes this. God hears their worship, sends an earthquake. The jail essentially crumbles. I mean, walls are falling down, chains are falling off, people are running out, but Paul and Silas, they stay there. The guard is like losing his mind and is even more confused as to why Paul and Silas are still there when the jail has essentially emptied. The story ends where the guard and his family begin to follow Jesus because of the example set by Paul and Silas in their ministry in Macedonia. Okay, that's the story this week. And so as we look at what do we do in a time of crisis, one of our main takeaways should be that we worship. Hey, what a great time to praise God when we need Him the most. But if you are currently in a crisis, me telling you, well, just start worshiping, that might not be that comforting. That might not give you a ton of hope. And then sometimes even just being the reminders, although they might be true, that God is faithful, God can be trusted, God is in control, God is a healer. And sometimes those just don't feel like enough. I wonder that if we were honest about what we're experiencing, maybe that would also help us experience God a little more deeply, a little more intimately. Here's what I mean. This week we're going to try to essentially fill in the blank of this sentence of when this happens, whatever that might be. It could be a divorce, could be a death, could be just a loss, could be just a run of bad luck. Maybe school stinks. Maybe you were cut from a team. Maybe you were broke up with by someone. I don't know. Whatever that bad thing is for you. When that happens, I feel. How do you feel? Angry, sad, empty, numb, depressed, worthless, useless, a failure, broken. What word fits that for you? So when that bad thing happens, what do you feel? And then, but, as we continue the sentence, but God is, what do you want God to be? Do you want God to be faithful? Do you want God to be trustworthy? Do you want God to be loving? Do you want God to be a father to you? Do you want God to be in control? Do you want God to just be a great listener? Do you just want Him to? What do you need God to be in your time of need? It's a great exercise that we can all go through. But there's a few things that I want to remind you as we do this. Number one, please, 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 please pay attention to your feelings. You just had or will have, or maybe you are currently living in a trauma, some grief, something painful. What are your feelings telling you? Are they sad? Yeah, you have a great reason to be sad. Are you angry? What are those? The first thing we need to do, pay attention to your feelings. I think I was 31. I got a book recommended to me. On the first page, there was a sentence, "It's okay for you to feel sad." I was 31 years old. That was the first time in my adult life that I can remember that someone told me it was okay to be sad. That sentence literally changed my life. And it's something that I would tell my 4-year-old child. Whatever feeling you have around that event, it's okay. Pay attention to them. Number 2, be compassionate to yourself. Sit with that sadness, that anger, that emptiness, that numbness. Sit with that. What is that saying? And know that it is okay. Because that feeling, whatever it is letting you know that you are alive, that you probably need to respond, that something might be off, that something is wrong, that something needs to be done with this. Be compassionate to yourself and what you feel, and in turn you will be compassionate to others. But we can't be compassionate to our world, and we talk about doing that a lot. We can't be compassionate to our world if we don't know how to be compassionate to ourselves. The third thing you need to do, be brave. Be brave, not like for months, even though that would be awesome. Can you be brave for like 3 seconds? Can you be brave 3 seconds, long enough to maybe to admit that you have a feeling that you're not sure what to do with? You should be like, I feel so angry, I don't know what to do. Can you be brave for 3 seconds to say a very short prayer? God, this isn't fair. God, how long do I have to live like this? What did I do to deserve it? God, what is going on? I need you. Where are you? Can you be brave enough for 3 seconds to ask God anything that emotion tells you you need to ask? Finally, number 4, listen. When we are waiting in the middle of a crisis, we recognize our feelings, we're compassionate to them, we are brave about them, we need to listen. What is your body telling you? What is God telling you? Because now we've gotten to the point where you have bravely prayed something that you earnestly believe. You know, a lot of those feelings and those emotions and what you're experiencing, they're just really just ways that you're trying to protect you. In some ways, that emotion and that anger and that sadness and all that is a really good motivator to do something that requires a lot of courage. You've been brave and you've asked God something that you were like, I don't know if it's okay to ask God this. Well, yeah, it is, because God is not too big. God is not incapable of handling your tough questions. But listen to what he has to say. Listen to ways that God can remind you that he is faithful. He is trustworthy. He is loving. He is kind. He is warm. He is gracious. He is compassionate. Whatever you need God to be, he can. But we have to listen. And we have to remember that he's there. I believe that God is all of those things. But I also know that when we're waiting, when we're hurting, it's awful. Absolutely awful. And telling you that God is faithful, that may not bring a lot of comfort to you now, but if we begin to deal with the grief in our heart, or whatever the anger may be, whatever that is, I think that's a pathway to being brave and to reaching out and connecting with God and just being quiet long enough for him to remind you that he is God. And maybe that's what Paul and Silas were trying to remind themselves that night in the prison. Things aren't going their way now, but let's remember who God is and wait for him to prove himself. Hey, thanks for checking out the Sunday devotion. And until we meet again, be well.